if Apple, at the end of the day, I think Ohm is right in that the most compelling use case for the Vision Pro is going to be visual content, like watching sports, like the sports thing that's what really got me excited, right?
What you described in terms of the entertainment consumption on the Vision Pro, that's what has made me want to try it and get
right.
one.
It's only going to be like I was the loser that was like reading RSS feeds on my phone in 2000, right? So yeah, I can't wait to work
Excel
exactly
in the Vision Pro. Oh my god,
it's going to be amazing. Yeah, God bless Microsoft being there from day one. I have the apps that I need. So acknowledging that my excitement is not the norm. I think that is correct. And one of the ways for Apple to deal with ecosystem intransigence, which is to say, like, look, actually, there's not that many apps that actually matter for this to be compelling. And what we should do is sort of double down, make the Apple provided experience and Apple funded experience so compelling that people will get this anyway. They will get it and they'll be so irritated at Netflix and so irritated at YouTube that their stuff isn't there that they will start protesting. And this is how modern tech battles are fought. It is bought by bringing user pressure to bear. This happens in politics, right? This is the Uber playbook. What does Uber do? No real laws about it. They go into a city, they get a bunch of customers and a bunch of drivers. And then by the time the city council responds, they have a huge lobbying arm of like people whose jobs depend on this and people who have like, no, it's true. This was exactly what they did. But this is the way it works. In a world of aggregators where power comes from marshaling demand, that demand can be leveraged in all sorts of cases. In this case, what Apple needs to do, and this is my construction hat on, like hardcore business analysis, Apple needs to increase its demand such that they can bring pressure to bear on these companies. And the way to do that is to deliver more and more compelling experiences. And by the way, there happens to be an entertainment company out there that is desperate, that is not quite at record label versus Napster level, but is kind of desperate, needs some money, kind of wants a partner for a major transition in its business model. And I'm talking about Disney, and particularly this sort of this shift where they want a partner for ESPN in particular to figure out how to take it over the top. Now, Disney's framing of this is all very self-interested, right? They want to sort of protect. I think their payoff for ESPN is building an advertising business that extends to all their apps, which of course they want to keep full ownership of and not do any sharing, right? And so this is a bit of a duplicitous offer. Oh, come invest in ESPN. Great opportunity, we swear. But there is one company that has a deep strategic interest in ESPN being an incredible streaming experience that ideally has this VR sort of offering. And oh, by the way, if we could exert some sort of control such that VR experience only works in one product, not say the Oculus or something along those lines, it would be Apple. And so like I do think we should keep our eyes open, on what the business response is. Disney's already there. They're there day one. They were on stage. They are voluntarily being a strong Apple Vision Pro sort of partner. What Apple doesn't need to do anything to sort of get all the benefits. But there is an aspect of it, at the end of the day, if Disney wants to take on Netflix head on, if they want to really lean into this Hulu sort of aspect, if they want to bring all their studios to bear, and if they want to acquire a whole bunch of rights for ESPN, like the NBA we've been talking about, for example, they need cash. They need cash, and and Apple needs content, and they need content not just to sell the Vision Pro, but so they can exert leverage against these holdouts, against, they can break the strike, as it were. And so I think the likelihood is still probably pretty low. Apple's not one to do big deals like this, whether it be a partnership or investment or
we talked about it over the summer. Just culturally, there would be hurdles to an Apple Disney partnership. And
one of the examples I go back to, I've mentioned this on the podcast before, is Apple Pay, where I thought Apple was taking it too easy. They weren't, exerting enough leverage to make Apple Pay a thing. Turns out playing it slow, playing the long game was exactly the right thing to do. And now they're taking 15 basis points on every purchase through Apple Pay forever, right? It's a pretty, Apple is very, very good at playing the long game and trusting that their sort of market power will come to bear over time in a way that developers are stupid to hold out, right? And that's probably going to be the case here, but that is going to require that much more patience for the Vision Pro. And again, the Vision Pro is super hard to make. By all accounts, these screens are so difficult to make that the 500,000 number is a function of how many they can build, right? And so if they're selling everyone they can build, and everyone, enough sort of people are like raving about it, and Netflix sort of feels compelled to jump on board, then, and they never have to make any concessions or any investments, then that's probably what they prefer to do. And that's probably what they will do. But it's worth noting there may be, if they get impatient at all, there's definitely a company that would love to work with them.
Well, I support the Vision because these cameras are going to be incredibly expensive if you're trying to make a sporting event like viewable with the Vision Pro and to give you the experience that you had at the
I think it could be cheaper. I think actually the best experience will be cheaper. And this is going to be a hard thing for ESPN to wrap its head around. Right now, if you're ESPN, you go to a stadium, you need like 10, 12 cameras or whatever. You need a production truck, or I think they do the production in Bristol now, but you need announcers. You need all this sort of stuff that goes into producing a game.
Stick a camera in the ground.
And the reason why you need to do that is because at the end of the day, you're doing a 2D representation of a 3D in-person event. And that's just woefully, like, there's a big difference between watching a game on TV and being there and feeling it and sort of like controlling the camera with your head and your eyes by choosing where to look. In the case of TV, it's a producer choosing what you look at. It's a fundamentally different experience. The Vision Pro doesn't need to be like that. I think the ideal Vision Pro experience, what I want from the Vision Pro, is I want whatever these crazy cameras Apple built up, I want it planted at center court at an NBA game, and I want nothing else. I want the sound. I want the sound of the arena. I want to control where I look by moving my head. And yes, that camera, that setup may be expensive, but relative to a current broadcast, I actually think it's going to be much cheaper.
Oh my!
I posited when Iger was talking about ESPN that it may be the case that the Vision Pro single-handedly convinced Iger to keep ESPN. That's how good the sports experience is, and that's how like compelling ESPN's position could be if they sort of own this space. And you think about it, they can get a ton of content if the cost of production actually comes drastically down, because literally all you need to do is put a camera there. It's a fixed cost. You don't need producers. You don't need announcers. You don't need all this sort of stuff that goes into it to deliver what is a superior experience to what you get today with the best produced, sports game possible.
100%.